to do basically a Thursday morning recording, and I'm just going to kind of give this to you. I know you guys have map testing. Good luck on that. So first and foremost, the I Am a Champion introductory choice assignment. It's 1.4. So this is what you have to do. So by the end of this project, I will be able, or I can, these are the learning targets that go with it, develop grade level writing using effective development, organization style, depending on the task, audience, and purpose. For writing, use technology to publish, update individual or shared writing products, respond to feedback. And then for reading of literature, which is really not reading of literature, it's some of you guys are telling your story, so that's why it's your writing of literature in some ways. And analyze how the setting affect the story, analyze the impact of the sequence of events, and analyze how characters are introduced and developed. So, for example, if you're telling your story and you want to tell like an example of how you like that shows you being a champion, that's where this would come into play. Like you would have to analyze what would be effective for somebody to watch or view this, view your story. So, and then reading for information, analyze the effectiveness of the author, that's you. Exposition, which is the setting or argument, or evaluate whether the structure makes points clear, convincing, engaging. These are going to be the ways that you assess. Like, did I make this clear? Is my viewer, do they understand um, how, understand me? Okay. So then also you're going to have to make certain that you present in an organized information using clear and distinct perspective, offer opposing perspectives when appropriate, use formal and informal style determined by purpose. Okay, and then obviously when you write, make certain you use those standard conventions of English. So the background information. So in life, we don't always feel like we're champions. We don't always feel like we can succeed. We often compare ourselves to others and think we aren't good enough or special enough because maybe something doesn't come easy or naturally. I'm here to tell you that we are all champions in some way or another. We all have a purpose, even if you aren't sure what it is yet. This is okay. I'm 40 years old, and I can tell you that my purpose in life has shifted several times, depending on the role I'm in. So, sometimes you feel like a champion with, like, for me, like, sometimes I feel like a champion for my mom, not my mom, but for my children. And I fight to make certain that I am a good mom. I learn or something. Like I listen to a podcast or whatever. Um, and then other times I feel like I try to be a champion for you guys to help you find your gifts and things that you're good at or make you feel successful. So there's a lot of different ways that you might not even realize that you're good at something. All right. But this is where I want you to actually think about that and to showcase that because you never know maybe how your story could impact somebody else. All right. Um, so we started this yesterday morning with Carrie Underwood's The Champion, and then proceeded to watch the Clint Pulvers Be a Mr. Jensen. And there's links right there for you to watch it if you didn't get a chance or you just want to revisit or um, and there's also some other ones you could look at. So to see how each person is choosing to inspire others. So like how can you inspire others with your story of struggle? Okay. And it doesn't have to be a huge struggle. Additionally, we did that reflection on Google Form and Classic. Here's the link. If you would like to find other inspiring stories, here are a few that I have found, but there are plenty out there. TEDx has tons of them. So does EdTed, which is also for young, specifically for young people. But like um, this is a lady right here where she's talks about how she tries to work for like being social change, social justice, and she talks about fixing the rights in different areas. And this is a really interesting Native American story about walking in their shoes. And this is David Goggins, and he was, if you're not familiar with him, he was the man who broke the pull-up record, and nobody thought he could do it. He went on Good Morning America. It was really interesting. This lady right here, her name is Angela Duckworth, and she talks about grit and what it means to kind of possess grit. This person down here talks about finding your purpose and not just won't be being okay with status quo pro. Um, and that's really an interesting about like the difference between doing what you're passionate about versus not at all. And then this person did something on like just kindness and pulling people up. So the thing is, I want you to think about what's your champion story. You know, what is it that you feel like you could tell other people that could help them, to could inspire them, um, or even just show someone that, you know, to be a champion is to be yourself, and maybe to pull out one of your areas that you're really good at. So, for example, if you're really good at video games, um, be a champion. Maybe you're trying to somebody you know that people have been really struggling to beat a level in some video game, and you've done it, and you've got some tricks and trades. Go on YouTube. There's so many different ways that you could do this, and that's why I'm like I'm not limiting you, and I'm gonna tell you that you're just gonna be looking at like, okay, so my purpose is to tell my story, whatever that story is, because you're your own champion. Okay. Um, and then you have to make certain that you communicate this idea to whoever you're going to do it, however you're going to do it. Now, I'm going to tell you that the audience right now, we automatically know is me and your classmates. Um, but it could also encompass a larger audience, depending. I know some of you guys out there could be YouTubers. You could have a huge fan base for TikTok. Um, it really just depends. Um, you could be writing to them. Like, there's this guy that I follow on YouTube who's all about technology because I love technology, and I'm all about trying to find the newest ways of doing things, and that can make my life easier as a teacher, but also your life's more fun as a student, like using Canva. Um, there's using the Flipgrid, that's what we'll be using. Just different ways and different styles to meet different learning personalities. That's what I kind of enjoy. So I follow this guy, and he puts out videos for people like me and for himself because and for students, even parents. But the University of Illinois Springfield shows a good illustration as to what you might take in consideration when you're choosing your audience by using what we call the rhetorical situation. So first of all, you got to set your purpose. What do I want to do? Do I want to entertain? Do I want to explain? Um, do I want to persuade people that you need to stand up, or people need to fundraise for whatever? People need to recycle more, and this is why. I mean, think about what you're passionate about. Think about what you really and what sparked it. What really made that spark? Um, I was never passionate about technology. I was never passionate about um, any of that until I became an online teacher. Like, I used Google Drive, and I was kind of cutting edge in some things, but now it's like it's kind of a passion. But not just that, like I love event planning and doing real life illustrations. So yesterday with the youth and when I helped them, um, I just played a game about throwing paper balls back and forth and to illustrate a concept. And it was really cool because that to me was me doing lesson planning. That's, yeah, something else I enjoy. Um, and making it come to life and make it applicable for what the students are doing. So I want you guys to think of the rhetorical situation as like this big circle outside. The big circle is like the context. So the context of everything that we're doing right now is to introduce you and to tell your story. The topic, or the context, I should say, I can't even see that, describes the circumstances, so surrounding the writing, which include the time, the location, the text, place, events surrounding the writing and the culture. So in order to be effective, you also have to like take in consideration what was going on in the time period. That's that context. Like, so if you were younger and this is when you learned, um, like say you had a struggle and you learned that you have ADHD, there was that whole context that went around with that. How did you learn it? What was going on? So you kind of like set that stage to let your audience orient themselves. And then you get into the topic, like how you championed past that, or how you've learned to identify with that, or how you've learned. There is a lady that I follow that um, she has basically cataloged all of her struggles and went through in on YouTube, and it's kind of like her online video vlog type thing. So, but then think about, what do I want to show? You know, what is it that you really have in your heart that you want to let people know about you? Okay, and that's that audience. Remember, it could be larger than just us as your me as your teacher and your classmates. It could be bigger. So think about that. Now, so for this assignment, you're going to need to create your plan to help you accomplish your task. You'll also need to think about how you will tell your story. Will you make a work of art? Write a poem, a letter, make a YouTube video, create an Instagram story, make a podcast, create a demonstration, do a how-to demonstration, cooking, etc. Play an instrument. The opportunities are endless. So choose something you will enjoy that will showcase your champion story. Remember, to be a champion means that you have found success in some way, big or small. Also, no victory is a small victory. So when choosing, I am going to just give this disclaimer. When choosing your story, please be mindful of your topic. If you think it could be controversial or triggering, please reach out so we can talk about it. What might not offend me isn't necessarily what could offend somebody else. We have a very large audience of people, so we always have to keep that in consideration. Um, and parents, if you have any ideas behind that, because you know your children, your students, or your young people learning coaches, I should say, better than I even do. Okay, so that will be helpful. Now, here's the plan. This is part one. Like, this is what you're actually going to turn in for your grade on August 31st. So this is where you have some time to like get your ideas together. Then you can start immediately working to create it. All right. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to start a new document. Um, you're going to copy the questions 1 through 12. So just basically highlight it, um, copy it, and then go over to a new Word document, paste it. Save it right there as your first initial dot last name underscore 1.4 champion plan. Then you're going to answer these questions as completely as you can. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you what that is, um, but every question should be answered. All right. So the first thing is you're going to say, and then you're going to put it in Dropbox by Tuesday, August 31st. The Dropbox is not there because I'm going to pull it into next week. So I just have it into the Getting Started Here module right now underneath, because that's where we are this week. But then next week, the Dropbox will be in Unit 1, Week 2. Okay, so just note that. Now, who will be my target audience? Who do you want to write to? What's my purpose? What do I want to showcase about myself? What life lessons have I learned? And you could write down more than one, because this is kind of like a pre-writing type thing too, because, you know, it might help you to kind of figure out exactly, what lesson did I learn with this that I want, or what sort of things about myself do I want to showcase? You may not just have one thing, and then you could highlight what you want to actually do after you've made your decision. Okay. What are my core values? And what does my situation story show to connect about them? So if you're a person who values honesty and integrity and hard work or grit, or justice, or anything, faith, it could be just lots of different aspects. These are your core values. These are things that you will not budge on regardless, and there's not anything anyone can do to pull that out of you. Now, then I want you to think about um, a visual or a symbol that would connect to your story. Okay. Um, so, for example, maybe over the course of whatever, you've just really, in the last few years, gotten really into um, health. Okay. And physical health, even. And something you could maybe do, this is me off the top of my head, guys, this isn't me, is you talk about, like, over the course, I've been the last couple of years, I've been working on my physical health, and one of the things that I've learned is that my body does not function without water. So I have this right here, and it's my little thermos or whatever, and it has to come with me. And it's a symbol that my life needs that water in order to continuously replenish. And one of the that's one aspect of um, what I need. You see, I'm just kind of playing off the cuff here, but that would be something to think about as a visual or a symbol. Um, that's really not the best example, but that's the one I came up with on that moment. I give you other examples if you need them, but I think you understand that a symbol is just an actual visual representation of something that connects to your story. And then I would say find a quote that you live by or that connects to what you're trying to showcase. So, for example, um, I live by the quote. Also, I want to just let you know, yes, I recognize that there could be like offensive terminology in some of the passages. This is American Lit. This is I told you guys we're going back and we're going to look at what we did as America and how we talked, how we spoke, and how we and then we look at how we've grown. Okay, so but I want you to understand that. Like I want you to see how far we've grown. I think a lot of times people don't think that we've grown, but there's so many ways that we have. Do we still have room for improvement? Absolutely. But um, we put the original text in there because a lot of the early American, that is sermons, that is letters, and this is primary source information. So, and if you were in college, you would be reading the primary source information and they would not be editing anything out. So, I think it's good as juniors that you finally can get exposed to some of this and we're not sugarcoating it because the truth is that we have to have real good hard conversations about um, we have made poor decisions in certain areas, and well, how do we move forward? How do we change it? Because you're our next generation, and honestly, you will have influence. You will make decisions. You will become lawmakers. You become politicians. You're going to be voters in less than pretty much a year. Some of you might already be able to, and that is important. So I feel like if we read this stuff and expose you to this stuff, you make up your own minds on that. That's not me. I just give you the information and allow you and your learning coaches to talk it over, discuss it, and we talk about it in class. We give out ideas and perspectives. So just that's a disclaimer on that. And that's for all of you guys to know, just in case. And if you were offended on it, I apologize that you felt offended. This is kind of one of those things where I didn't want you to be, but now you finally, hopefully, will understand. Like our department because we're American. All that test was give out to every one of the juniors, and we're all on the same page. We just want you guys to know and grow, and that's our hearts. Okay. So, and then just so you know, you should have already been completed with the 1.2 getting form. Should be done like that quiz. Remember, it's just a quick um, completion grade if you did it. So there's that. And we did a little classroom tour. If you had any struggles, just let me know. Okay, so right here is this I told you I was going to go to the classroom tour and we did that yesterday, but I'm going to give you just when you go to the content, okay, you're going to your class home, all right? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put this video in your announcements, okay? It'll be in your announcements. You'll be able to get it from there. And then you will see that it is, if you go down, it'll be here. And then it's going to be, you're going to go to content.